Hi, it's Larry Herb, Xbox's Major Nelson. Welcome to the Xbox Podcast, and it is Showtime, gang, which means we don't have one, we don't have two, we have three voices in the mix here. Rebecca, Rebecca, you're back. I didn't know if you were going to come back after last week, but I'm so excited to see you back.
I guess it wasn't just a guest thing after all.
It was no. I mean, I just you were like, you know, when you signed up for this and we talked about having you on the show, you're like, well, I'm going to do a couple. We'll see how it goes. You gave yourself like this huge escape hatch in case Jeff and I just didn't come across well. So.
I mean, I just wanted to see how people received me, how I felt, if it felt too awkward. But yeah, it's cool. I've known you guys for years, and it's nice to hang out and gives me, like I said, an excuse to play more games. So yeah, let's do it.
Well, according to some of the responses I got on Twitter, and I'm sure you read the YouTube responses, everybody loved having you in here. So it's like, hooray!
Jason Momoa awesome. Signed off.
That's
the key thing. Is
yeah, sorry, bud.
That's when. Don't say that. If you can make room for 3 squares, you can make room for 4. That's right. You know, that's how it works.
But it's good. It's great.
Trio has a nice ring to it.
It's great to have you back, and it's good to see everybody here. It's been and by the way, thank you for everybody that swung by YouTube and dropped a bunch of nice comments for welcoming Rebecca to the show. You know, one of the questions we had, Jeff and Rebecca, was the rebranding of the podcast. You know, it's the Xbox Podcast. Forever, it was. You know, I started the podcast 15 years ago. I think. Rebecca, were you still at Syracuse then?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Anyway, when I started the podcast, you know, it was Major Nelson Podcast, and over the past year, we've migrated to the Xbox Podcast because it's more officially official, and so I wanted to kind of get it up there. So anyway, you'll see that name flowing through on Spotify and Apple Music, and Jeff, did you see it yet? Because you and I were talking about it. I made those changes.
Yeah, I got to search for it. I mean, you actually made the change internally, I feel like almost a year ago.
Right.
It's just I'd gotten an iPad.
Right.
Kind of like to have it up here for like chat and stuff. And I went to go add it on. I typed in Xbox Podcast, and I got the Xbox 2 podcast, which is good. That's Jez and Randall Thor. Great show.
Yeah.
It's not this one. And then I looked, and it was under Major Nelson. So hopefully for other folks who are wondering, hey, is there an Xbox podcast? It's this one. We're sorry. It's as good as it is.
I'm searching right now.
We'll try
it is popping up here. So if it's not popping up, let me
know. Good.
But anyway, we're getting there. So here we are. What are you guys playing? Let's start with Rebecca. You were just telling us before we started recording that you've tried out a couple games.
Yeah, so after last week's episode, I really wanted to try Rain on Your Parade. It looked pretty hilarious. And my best friend came over, and she's not a gamer, but I figured the controls were simple enough that she'd be able to hop into it. She was a little bit nervous because the last game I had her hop into was Overcooked, and I think we all know that game can get a little heated. Yeah,
you're still friends. That's good
for a new gamer. Yes, but we had a really good time. We, took turns. It was fun, and then on my own, I tried out Call of the Sea. I was inspired to kind of poke around, see what's new on Game Pass, and the graphics are interesting. It's kind of like a low-res Moana meets BioShock, and It's a mystery game, like mysteries and puzzles, and so far it's been pretty cool. So I would recommend it, and it was free on Game Pass.
I had the developer on. She was on a few months ago, right, Jeff? Probably like 3 or 4 months ago. So anyway, yeah, it's a beautiful game, and as you said, they're both titles you mentioned are on Game Pass. I want to talk about Rain in Your Parade though, because that's one that, to be clear, it's not a 2-player game. You guys are just handing off the controller, right?
Yeah.
So that's
yeah.
And that's the other thing. You said your friend doesn't play games a lot, which we all have friends that don't play games. It is a little daunting when you hand them the
controller, yeah.
They're like, look at all the buttons and the sticks and the pad and the triggers, and how do I even hold this thing? This thing can be a little. I mean, a lot of people are probably laughing at me, going, "Oh, of course I know how to hold the controller." But yeah, when you hand it, when you try it, sometime just hand this to somebody, and it's
like, what do I do with this? Yeah,
this foreign object. It can be a little.
Well, that's why I like to play.
Forget what we know. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, there's the Jackbox Party Pack where the controls are your phone. And so there's a number of games like that. The Jeopardy game, I like Jeopardy. What can I say? Although LeVar Burton needs to be the host. That's it. They've tried out a bunch of people. I think this week was
Aaron Rodgers can go. Seriously.
Yeah.
And he was one of the better ones. So no, LeVar Burton, I stand for him to be the permanent host. There seems to be a movement on Twitter. So hopefully, anyway, there is a Jeopardy. it's called like Play Jeopardy, but you actually use your phone and voice chat and you buzz in that way. And it just sort of like demystifies the controller for some people that are not going to be into it. The other way to do it is just do what I did. My kid was 4. I was like, here's the controller. See you in a couple hours. You'll figure it out. It.
Yeah.
And she's, I mean, it took a while. She's better.
Hey, the earlier actually, the better.
Larry, you're about that time where it's time for your, for the littlest major to maybe start playing some stuff. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we'll see that. We're almost at that point. It's
Minecraft.
Seriously,
just saying.
You know,
it works.
It you know what? You're absolutely right. I mean, Minecraft is, and I've described this. I think I've described this in previous shows. It is the playground of this generation. You know, in terms of where they go and play and build. It's a virtual sandbox. You know, when we all grew up, it was let's go play on the jungle gym and learn how to, you know, be nice and play and get thrown off. Anyway, it's that's what.
Maybe the throwing off part. Here's the thing, though.
It's like don't throw TNT at my house now. That's the equivalent.
Well, no, it's also get off my server, right? It's also that too.
There's moral dilemmas. Like I was on the server and I found a diamond sword. Do I give it back? Do I keep it? You know, do I bury the evidence? And then also yesterday I went upstairs when I was done work and my kid was done school and she was playing Minecraft and she was sorting through the achievement list and she's trying to get all the achievements. And I was like, you're getting a raise in your allowance. I was so proud. You have no idea. Also, Minecraft has added a ton of achievements. There's a number of them, like punch a tree that I got like on I've got it on my Switch. I got it on Windows 10. I got it on Xbox twice. I got it on a number of different places. But there's like a ton of new ones that involve like all of the new things that have been added to Minecraft. Right. Like, now I forget what's like the super high, the best armor in the game now. It's like beyond diamond armor. Anyway, you use the ancient debris and this will come back to me. Anyway, there's so many new things. Wait, what's this?
Oh wait, no, I can't remember. Keep going.
Anyway, I'll straighten us out. Go ahead.
There's like so if you've been playing for a long time, like at one point you could 1K just by the things that existed in the game 6, 7, 8 years ago, and now like all of the new things that have been added to the game, and it's just amazing how there's a whole bunch that involve honey and bees. There's like doing stuff with shulker boxes. There's stuff with doing all of the different. It's amazing how much is added to that game every 6 months to a year. It's nice. Yeah. I like the achievements added to it,
and there's more coming. That's the coolest part. Is this game is it feels like it's never finished. It's never feature complete. So.
Yeah, we've always said there's never going to be a Minecraft 2. We don't need there to be. We're just going to keep updating this one.
This one. Anyway, so you've had a busy playing week then there, right, Rebecca? I mean, you played those. Have you played anything else?
Yeah, I've also tried Tell Me Why. I never really played it before, but now that I'm playing it, I mean, I loved The Walking Dead, the Telltale Walking Dead, and so it kind of feels similar. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of story games lately.
Well, we've got some interviews coming up later in the show. I got 3 interviews today. One of the ones that Jeff did is for Second Extinction, which sounds like we may need to play that game.
Yeah, it's a 3-player co-op game. It's basically shoot all the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs suck, kill them all. And the game actually came out as we were doing the interview, and I was downloading it. And afterwards, I fired it up. And while it's a game preview game, it's in Xbox Game Pass. It's got achievements. It looks super polished. This is game preview games can be in any number of states, but this one is in like you'll want to jump in and try this out. So I think the 3 of us should do it. Seems super approachable from like if you've played any shooter, it's good. The controls are going to feel comfortable. But my favorite part is when I play shooters now, I want to be able to ping. And when I can't ping, I get really frustrated because Apex has completely spoiled me. And this has a ping button. Good. Same place, right bumper. And I can be like, go there, dinosaur here, whatever it might be. So,
so did you play around? Did you play with NPCs? Because I remember in the interview,
I did the tutorial. Yes, yeah, he does. Apparently, this game will kick your ass if you go alone. But I loaded up the tutorial like in a 5-minute period I had just to see what it was like and what it felt like. And it's slick. And it's running at 4K 60 on my Series X. So we should next week at this time. I would hope that we've done it. I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to take a look at here. So, what else are you playing, Jeff?
Yeah. So, another interview that we're gonna have is for Judgment. So, I'm a Yakuza fanboy. I would like to say I'm a Yakuza influencer, but that's just really aspirational more than anything. So this is a spin-off of the Yakuza series, but it's like way more detective-y. Right. And so like in most of the games, you're Kiryu, who's like this stoic badass who can, there's only 100 people there. Yeah, I can punch my way through that. And he does. This person, Yagami, much more of a normal person who can also like jump off walls and kick you in the head. I mean, so maybe not super normal, but he'll be like, wow, there's a lot of people there. I should try something else. I should sneak in the window, or I should be a little smarter. But there's a lot of, I guess if I had to sum it up, it's like LA Noire meets Japan. It's like LA Noire Japan. And so instead of like Tokyo driving Noir around in the 40s and shooting Tokyo Noir, there you go, perfect. There's still like melee and stuff like that, but it's you're using modern tools like drones to spy, like, look, I wonder if they're in this building. And I don't know. I think it's really cool. You're interviewing people at times. You're showing them evidence. There's even like court. I'm learning about the penal system and the judicial system in Japan through this. So I don't know. I love it. I'm totally absorbed, and highly recommend you check that out. We'll have an interview with the game's producer soon. So Simon I won't Vickers. Go too much further into that.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's the game producer is Hosokawa-san.
Yes, exactly. Kazuki Hosokawa. So very good interviews this week. Also playing. So when we were at last week's show, I was like, I'm going to beat Dragon Quest today. I was like 80 hours into Dragon Quest. And that night I rolled credits and I was like, yeah, I beat it. I wanted to play this game.
Good for you.
Amazing game. And it said, save. Do you want to save after the credits rolled? And I was like, okay. And then I was like, and then went to the title screen. I was like, well, why did it do that? Why would it save?
Jeffrey?
So I loaded it back up, and the story just picks up and keeps going. It goes, and I'm like, wait. So the credits are immediately a speed bump. And yes, you could walk away and say, I beat the game. I did not beat the game. I'm 20 hours past that.
Is it like when you watch the movies and you're watching, or
yes.
a Netflix thing, and like 30 minutes in, they decide to roll the credits, and like, and now, Netflix presents. I'm like, what am I doing here?
This is more like in a Marvel movie when there's like the end credit scene. Right. But imagine if the end credit scene was like almost as long as the movie itself.
Right.
And so here's the thing. I'll give full credit to Square Enix, the team that built Dragon Quest XI. I'm now like 100 hours in. I'm not necessarily ready for this game to end. Like I'm never like, okay, let's wrap it up now. It just keeps throwing interesting stuff at you. And it's just so perfectly put together. It's so charming, and the voice acting is fun. And I don't know. Kudos to them. It's really hard to make 100-hour game engaging the whole time, and you don't want to be done with it. But if you like old school RPGs, press A to attack, or spells, or any of that stuff, this is like the platonic ideal of a JRPG in my mind. So it's really cool. Very much enjoying it.
Excellent. Let me see.
And outside of that, we're just still playing Outriders, running that every couple of nights.
We haven't played Apex in a while. Do you play Apex, Rebecca? I don't remember.
Oh my God.
I did it like when it...
Isabella, do you remember that?
What's going on over there, Jeffrey?
I have a preteen in my house, and something good or bad may have happened. So I didn't realize that came over the mic. Yes.
Loud and clear, 5 by 5, as they say. Anyway, I'm sorry, Rebecca, do you play Apex?
I tried it for the first couple of weeks when it came out, and then I was part of that steep drop off initially. Yeah. So, but I'm open to getting back into it.
Jeff and I played a lot of it. I mean, let's take a look here. This is what I'm playing right now. I'm still doing Sea of Thieves. I'm at this point in Doom Eternal. I think I broke.
You're still playing it.
I think I broke the game.
What do you mean? What? How?
I was in this area where I was really low on health, really low on ammo, and I'm like, well, let me just backtrack. And I backtracked all the way through the level. I found like some ammo, just like 2 shotgun shells, and went all the way back, and now all the enemies are gone, and I can't progress, so I don't know what to do. So I'm like, I gotta roll.
Call Pete Hines.
Yeah, I gotta.
A guy.
Yeah.
You go. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to roll back to a different save, so I'm still playing that little MLB The Show. Jeff, you and I need to get back into Take-Two, but I wanted to bring up the Game Pass app, and here it is. So let's. This is Second Extinction. So I'm going to
start. A svelte 8 gigabyte download. Actually, I played with the Wire team a lot with Will and Mike, and look, a lot of us have caps. If you're living on the West Coast and you have like download caps, and he's like, it's the end of April. I'm almost done. I was like, it's only 8 gigs. You can squeeze this in. Just don't stream Lord of the Rings in 8K, extended editions between.
There's no reason
exactly.
to watch The Office
You'll be
again.
fine. You won't go over. So I think we'll begin.
Agree to
I
disagree
appreciate
there,
a small
but-
download.
Anyway, so yeah, those are really what I've been playing this week. It's we should probably roll into the interviews because we got a lot to cover in this show, Jeff. So we're going to talk first. We're going to talk to Jeff. Had a chance to talk about Judgment. You heard him talk a little bit about that. Then I'm going to bring up the center. We're going to talk with Sondre Barkley about Bang & Olufsen, the BO plays, which are these little guys Jeff and I talked about a couple weeks ago. I'll have to get you a pair of those. And then Second Extinction. So what do you say we roll into those now?
Xbox is now home to every mainline Yakuza game, from Yakuza 0 all the way up through Like a Dragon. And if you're like me, you've been blazing through this series over the course of the last year and change. And, well, you might be hungry for more. And you might be wondering what's next. So what's next is both familiar and different. It's called Judgment, and I am very pleased to welcome its producer, Kazuki Hosokawa, coming to us all the way from Japan. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
So glad to have you here. So, Hosokawa-san, you've played a large role in many of the Yakuza titles, directing Yakuza 0 and Yakuza 5, having roles in a lot of the other ones. So, what do you think about the reception of the Yakuza series since it's come over to Xbox over the course of the last year or so?
So we've always been releasing the Yakuza series titles on Sony hardware, and we had heard a lot of voices from fans saying, Xbox users saying we'd really like to play this game on this different platform. And since we've heard those voices, we really wanted to answer the fans' voices and demands. And we feel that now that we've released the title for Xbox, we're really being welcomed, and fans are really glad that the Yakuza series has come to the Xbox platform, and we're really happy to be able to provide that happiness and excitement to fans.
I can tell you've made a lot of fans in the last year, and I am very much one of them. So let's talk about Judgment. These games are often very character-driven, and we have a new protagonist, new to those of us who hadn't played Judgment before and are used to Kiryu or Ichiban Kasuga. Let's talk about Takayuki Yagami. He seems, first of all, a lot different than Kiryu or Kasuga, but he's actually like very cool. So talk about him and sort of what motivates him.
So the idea for Takayuki Yagami really started when we had originally been working for so long with Kiryu, who was the main character of the Yakuza series. This Judgment, when it originally came out domestically, it came out right after Yakuza 6. And so we had been looking for a way to kind of create a character that was almost a polar opposite, completely different to Kiryu, whereas Kiryu is a very manly man, and he's kind of over the top and very stoic. With Yagami, we wanted to create a character that was he wasn't as heated, he's cooler. And more cynical and maybe a little bit more stylish. And that's where the idea for this character really originated.
Was it?
And then we were able to welcome Kimura, or Takuya Kimura, who is a very well-known celebrity in Japan. We were able to bring him on as the character of Yagami. And so, considering his public image as a celebrity and kind of combining that with the personality of Yagami, we were able to kind of create the final version of this full version of the character.
So I'm playing in Japanese with English subtitles, and I know a lot of fans of the series, that is their preference, especially since that's pretty much your only option for most of the mainline Yakuza games. But I've noticed there is an English language option with Judgment, and I hear it's pretty good. And I actually played Yakuza Like a Dragon in English, and I was very impressed by the performances there. Do you think as the series has picked up heat in the US and it continues, that you're going to continue to offer an English language voiceover for future games?
So we don't have any, solid future plans for what exactly is going to be available voice work wise for future Yakuza titles. But we did hear how everybody really enjoyed the English language versions of both Judgment and Yakuza 7 or Like a Dragon. And so hearing that sort of feedback, we really felt that this is a good thing that people enjoy, and it really furthers, it kind of helps people to better understand the series on a level that maybe they weren't able to with just subtitles. So it's definitely an option that we would like to continue to consider for including in future titles as well.
Very cool. It's great to have the option. I can tell you that I sit there and I think about the choice for quite a while because they're both really good. I would love to talk about a little bit more about the characters and talking about talk and really all of the Yakuza protagonists. I find it interesting that in these RGG titles, the protagonists tend to be above age 40. And I think that's interesting. So many characters in so many games. I'm playing another JRPG right now, Dragon Quest, and I love it. The character is, I don't know, 17. I don't have anything in common with this character. I feel like I have a lot in common. Maybe not the organized crime, but I have a lot in common with the characters in the Yakuza games in terms of where I'm at in my life. So I'm just curious what drew the team to older characters than we see in a lot of other games.
そうですね。今、ジョフさんのおっしゃってたように、
So there's two parts to the answer. The first is that I feel like, there's a lot of gamers out there now that are older. There's a wider range of audiences that are playing the game. And so there's a lot of people in their 30s and 40s playing games. And we really feel like it would be great for them to be able to see themselves reflected in a game as one of the main characters. So that's the first part of it. The second is that RGG Studio, all the games that we make, we really want to make sure there's a dramatic story to it. There's a depth to the story. And when we put these stories together and think of all these characters that appear in it, the team behind it making them is also, we're a bunch of older guys, you could say. So it's easier for us to put ourselves in our characters' shoes and think about, how will they think in this situation? How will they act? And start to put the story together and build upon our own perspectives and experiences. And so I think that's part of what has created these older characters in our games.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that as one of those gamers getting up there in years. Now, I wish I had the hair that these characters had. I wish I was in as good of a shape, but it's still so cool to see that.
ありがとうございます。
So we're talking a lot about the characters, and characters are so important to the Yakuza games and to Judgment. But I feel like the city is a character as well, Kamurocho. So I think it's interesting the choices that are made in the presentation of this game compared to the Yakuza games. Judgment, I feel like the camera oftentimes floats up and you see the city from above a lot more. Even the camera that follows Yagami, it's much closer. It makes the city feel a lot bigger. So I would love for you to talk about sort of the stylistic choices you've made with Judgment to really differentiate it from the Yakuza series.
So
Yagami, as a character, he's not from Kamurocho, but he experienced some mishaps in his past, and now he's working as a private detective there. And in a sense, like you mentioned, Kamurocho is a very important character in this title. Yagami is able to survive because he is in Kamurocho. He's able to live because of this place, and you'll find out more about that once you really dive into the game and the story. But the depiction of Kamurocho was really important to us to try to make it feel like you're really actually in the city and you're living and that Kamurocho itself is alive and there's a lot of different things to see there. So we actually did pay a lot of attention to how we portray the scenes and I think that's maybe something that you notice there. And the other thing is that we also paid a lot of attention to the color grading. We since Judgment is a suspense title, and it's a kind of a thriller, so it's a little bit different from the Yakuza series that fans might be familiar with. So we adjusted the color a little bit there to kind of depict that and really show that the Kamurocho that you see through Kiryu Kazuma's eyes and the Kamurocho that you see through Takayuki Yagami's eyes, these two different characters, they're actually very different views, even though it's the same place.
Yeah, that very much jumped out at me because I feel like I've played through so many of the Yakuza the games. I know every corner of Kamurocho, but it definitely feels different in Judgment. And that's one of the reasons to check it out. Another thing that feels different is just how smooth it plays. And it's worth calling out that Judgment Remastered is a next-gen only title. You play it on Xbox Series X or S. So can you talk about what the team has learned about next-gen consoles? This is, of course, the second game to appear on Xbox Series X and S after Like a Dragon, and how you're sort of squeezing more out of the game and getting more performance now that you've had another game, this is your second game on the next-gen system.
So
in creating for next-gen machines, we really felt that first, the resolution and the frame rate were really just completely different. And we really felt through developing this that it has such a big impact on how you experience the game when these things are so much smoother. It's just almost kind of an instinctual thing, like you just kind of feel the difference as you're playing it. And that was a big learning experience for us, that we realized these things. And another thing is that concerning loading time, which has become really so much more shorter or even non-existent thanks to these new machines. And originally when games first came out, loading times were not a thing. Like, they did not exist in games. And over the last decade or 20, 30 years, when disc-based games became the norm, loading times became just a natural part of games. It was just always part of that experience. But with the evolution of hardware, we really, think it's amazing that now we can take these loading times away and really help the player to focus and not take them out of the world of the game when they're experiencing it. And so it's really great, and we really love these new enhancements.
Very cool. I know we're all enjoying it, and you said, it's about bringing Kamurocho to life, and I can tell you it gets better with every game, and it makes me want to go to Japan, which of course we can't do right now, but hopefully soon. So I want to ask you one last thing. I know as an Xbox fan who's new to the Yakuza series and very new to Judgment, I want to keep them coming. I want them to keep to be able to keep playing these games. And I've noticed a countdown, which has me irrationally excited, but there's a countdown on the RGG site. Can you tell us anything about that?
So all I can say for now is that I think we were able to prepare something that people who enjoy our studio's games, as well as people who might be interested in trying one of our games, would definitely be excited to find out about. So please look forward to it.
We will. I'll be keeping an eye out. I'm sure we'll be talking about it on the next Xbox podcast, but this has been great. Thank you so much for joining us. Kazuki Hosokawa, the producer of Judgment. Judgment's out now. Xbox Series X, Series S is $39.99. If you've been enjoying these Yakuza games for the last year or so, highly recommend you give this a shot. It's a very different take. as you've seen, as you've heard, and it's well worth your time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
As everybody on the show knows, I am a huge audio nerd, so I am really excited to talk about the Beoplay portals from Bang & Olufsen. And joining me on the line here is Sondre Barkley. He is the global product manager at Bang & Olufsen. Sondre, welcome. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thank you for having me, Larry. I'm looking forward to having this chat.
Let's talk about these guys. I mean, we announced these just about a month ago, the Beoplay portals, and these are gaming and all-purpose headsets. I want to talk a little bit before we get going about your company, Bang & Olufsen, because this is a company that has been around for a long time and it's got an amazing history. Tell us a little bit, if you can, the history of Bang & Olufsen.
Absolutely. I mean, as you say, it's a company that's been alive for a while. It all started 95 years ago in a little town in Denmark called Struer, when a guy called Peter Bang and Sven Olufsen, two guys, decided to get into the industry. And they had this vision to really redefine the audio industry. They started out with radio transistors, and the vision has always been to sort of change the way people see, feel, and hear music. And that's kept them going for 95 years, and here we are trying to make it.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, I've looked at Bang & Olufsen, and that's always been like the premium brand, and it's been like, oh, I've always wanted to get Bang & Olufsen speakers, and all of the gear that you make is so good. But you decided to get into the gaming business with this amazing headset. Tell us about that journey and what brought you to the gaming headset, and how you guys are kind of approaching it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it didn't happen overnight. This is something we've been working on or looking into for, I would say, the last 4 or 5 years almost. Sort of started out in a very neutral, organic way. We did user sessions with sort of the people that we consider our target audience in Asia and a bit in Europe and also in the US. And then we started seeing this trend that we had, career professionals, people that are typically B&O customers. And we sort of looked into what they used to do after work to relax, unwind, or when they were traveling and so on. And there was a quite big trend that we saw, gaming is, something that these people see as a central part of their life to unwind and relax. And for us, I mean, it probably sounds funny when you're sort of coming from Xbox and a brand that's been alive for so long. But in our industry, that was sort of, okay, interesting. This is something we need to investigate further. And the journey sort of started from there. It wasn't super easy to get started at first when we sort of stepped into the boardroom and said, hey, guys, we're going to do gaming now. But one after one, we sort of got it overturned. And now I can tell you sort of for the last year or so, when we announced the partnership together with Xbox and people have seen how big this is, I mean, the excitement is just huge. And we're really excited to get started on this journey.
And that brings up, now usually when I talk about hardware, I bring out the white gloves, because that brings up the Beoplay portals. And I have a set of them here. These are amazing headphones in some of the design cues that you've done. Tell us about what you've done to bring the Bang & Olufsen spirit to game audio.
Yeah, definitely. And it kind of goes back to the start when I said, we started talking to these people and seeing that they really wanted to use their headphones for gaming. But what most of them did was sort of they needed to own 2 pairs of headphones or even more to sort of for it to fit all the needs or whatever they did throughout the day. So we looked at it and we said, hey, there's this audience that have grown up and see gaming as a central part of their life. But even though there's a lot of good hardware out there, maybe some of that hardware hasn't really grown up with these people and is living up to the needs or wants of their lifestyle of today. So that's our, where we started out. And from there on, we wanted to sort of see if we could change the mold a bit of what a traditional gaming headset looks like. So, if you ask anybody on the street today, whether it's sort of a young kid or old woman, like, can you describe a gaming headset?
Yep.
I think more or less all of them will describe the same product. And we wanted to sort of see if we could challenge that a bit and bring the Bang & Olufsen design ethos, our aesthetics, our craftsmanship, but also our sound language into a product that really spoke to these type of customers. And that's what you see here on the screen now, or at least the end result with the portal.
Yeah, and these are, and I've got you've provided a bunch of different slides over here that we're kind of tick through. the portal. Here's the side. I mean, it is a very attractive set of headphones, and you guys have done some interesting. They come in a few different colors. Let's talk about the colors, because you've got the white there that we just showed, the like my gloves. You've got this, and then you've also got this amazing. Let me see if I can pull it up. This amazing blue. Let's talk about that.
Definitely, the navy colorway is one that has created a lot of excitement. It was sort of introduced as a third color in the range, but well, since we introduced the colors, we decided to announce them all at the same time, and we've seen a lot of hype around this navy blue one. Especially, I think, you know, what makes it pop a lot is that navy color on the leather combined with the brass gold tone on the aluminum. Yep. And that shade that really plays well together. So we're looking forward to bringing that out there. And I think, you know, that headphone is probably one of the ones that highlights the most what they tried to do, the designers, with this headset, which is, I think they've achieved really well, is they wanted to create something that adapts to the environment that you're in. So when you're in sort of out and about in daylight, or in a office situation like I'm right now, or at home from your home office, it looks quite neutral. It looks sort of toned down, minimalistic in a way. But once you get it into sort of a moody lighting, whether that's sort of, you know, environment that is a bit more digital, if we can use those words, the headphone really adapts. And you'll see that from the marketing images and the marketing videos, that the headset really almost looks like two different products depending on what lighting or what setting it's in.
Yeah, I also want to point out, I mean, we're going to talk about the audio in a second, because certainly that's the most important thing. Look, they look good, sure, that's one thing, but everyone wants to know, how do they sound? And I have to tell you something, as somebody who has tried all of the headsets that I think Xbox has ever come out with, these are at the top. I mean, the audio quality is phenomenal. You've got them on there right now. I've got my in-ears, so I can't really for this interview.
And you sound great.
Thank you. But there's also a lot going on here, because you've adapted. They kind of, it's what's interesting to me is they kind of have a foot in both sides. They have a foot in the mobile world, and they have a foot in the gaming world. And you guys handle that with the app so beautifully. There's an app that you can download for your mobile phone and kind of tweak everything. Tell us a little bit about that, and I'll see if I can bring up the images for you.
Yeah, sure. If not, I could bring up my phone as well to show it. But
sure.
I think, you know, in essence, this was something that we knew from the start. I mean, back to the duality or the needs of the end users. We knew that they wanted a headset they could use for their everyday stuff, whether that was traveling, commuting, or just in an office situation, listening to music. But they also wanted a product that was suitable for when they wanted to game. We also see the world of gaming changing a lot, right? It used to be very stationary. It might still be for some, but over the next decade or so, I think, you know, with the Xbox, the xCloud and so on, you know, gaming is something that's becoming more and more interactive and out and about. So it really speaks to where we see the market going and the needs of the customers. And we wanted to sort of get that into the app as well. So when you're sort of on a regular Bluetooth connection on your phone, you have the traditional B&O, we call it like the standard interface, where you have these, you know, traditional listening modes and so on. But as soon as you connect to your Xbox, you go into this really dark gaming mode, which just changes the whole feeling of the phone. There you have sort of full accessibility to some specific EQ tunings. You can adjust your sliders and really sort of tweak your product to your needs. You can update to get sort of the latest features and so on. So it really speaks to the situation that you're in and allows you to sort of have everything you need at your fingertips, because, you know, people always have their phone with them these days. It's not really something you forget anymore at home. So yeah, it really made sense to use the phone as a hub for you to sort of have everything at your fingertip and control your whole sound setup.
Yeah, a few weeks ago when I showed these on this very podcast, you know, I don't have the video with me, but I showed the fact that the app is up, and then when you click the button to connect to your console, it automatically connects, because again, it uses Xbox wireless. So it's connecting directly. Yeah. You're not connecting or putting any wires in a controller. It's connecting right to the console, which gives you high quality, low latency. But the moment you do that, as you're looking at the app, you're right, it flips to the gaming mode, which I just flashed up there when you were talking about it. And that is pretty amazing, because you see all of your different options, you know, your your listening mode, and you see some here. You know, you can EQ it the way you want, but you've got some presets in there: gaming, FPS, RPG, so forth. But the other thing that I want to point out also is, of course, you've got full control over game chat and party chat, or game audio and party chat. But the other thing is they also have noise canceling, which is amazing to use when you're gaming, because it just everything else just kind of drops away and melts away, and it feels so great. So I want to thank you for that. And then again, you can kind of see them here, and I'm doing a terrible job, but you also have these controls on the bottom, which help you if you if you have your phone, but it's just a quick little to kind of tweak your things as you're playing the game, right?
Yeah, very easy. I mean, very intuitive, I would say. It's quick to learn, right? They're almost mirrored. So you have like two sliders, one on each side, and then you have one button for on-off Bluetooth Connect, and the other one for connect, disconnect to your Xbox. So we try to, simplify it a bit. You also have double tap to mute, unmute on both sides. So that's mirrored. We wanted to make it intuitive. We know that
because I noticed that it was, it depends. I was like, I wonder if this is different. But then I was reading in the documentation that, wait a minute, this is the same, because that's something you do all the time, is like, you want to do it very quickly and you don't want to have to think of which side. So you guys are like, make it both sides.
Exactly. I think it's one thing we've seen. I mean, it shouldn't really matter whether you're right or left-handed or whatever, what you prefer, what you set up. We're going to make it easy for you, no matter what, to really sort of interact with the product. And it just needs to be easy and intuitive when you're in sort of a stressful situation. So we decided to simplify it down a bit, but
when you say stressful, it's when you're playing a game, you're in the final level of a game, or you're about to win the game, and maybe your partner, your spouse comes through the door, or your child, and wants to. That's stressful. You got to mute because you don't want your teammates to hear your conversations there. So it's really helpful. And again, having the noise cancellation as well, so that you don't hear them, but it's also such a lovely feature, and those are all, again, you guys provide such amazing tweaking and ability both here on the device in terms of balancing, but also on the app, because the app is really, as you said earlier, as we were talking about, the app is kind of the star in a lot of ways, because it unlocks so many cool things that you can do, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's what we also hope to keep on developing, because as I said, the phone, I don't think is going to go away in the next couple of years at least. So it really gives you the opportunity when you have the app at hand to really, do your adjustments and really optimize the product's performance to your needs. And we know that, whether you're a gamer or not, people have individual preferences, and being able to offer them sort of full flexibility when it comes to these things is really something we strive to do. I
know we announced it last month, and they're available now, if I recall correctly. So it's a great device, and I got to tell you that a lot of places I've been looking, Sandra, they've been sold out. And so I'm like, good for you guys. A lot of people seem to be really receiving these well. And again, they're not for everybody. They are premium products. So, if you're interested in a premium product, Bang & Olufsen has you covered. If you're not, there's a lot of other options out there for you. But you are getting an amazing experience with Bang & Olufsen, both in the app and in the headphones. And again, it uses the Xbox wireless, so there's no wires. And I mean, I can turn my console off by just turn it on by using my headset. That's a neat feature as well, isn't it?
Exactly. So, and to your point, I mean, it might not be a product for everyone, but it is about sort of reaching a specific market. And we, at least when we looked at the target audience, also when we met the first time with Matt and Alex in Cologne at Gamescom, we just sat down. It was an instant match between the two brands, because we just saw the same target audience. We saw the need out there. There's a great hardware market there already with a lot of great products for every need, but we can always expand on that, and everybody has different preferences. So it was great for us to be able to partner up on this one and really bring something new and unique to the market.
And I'm enjoying it. And one of the things I want to talk about, though, before I let you go, is that you've got this concept on here. And because if you notice, it's all, there's nothing sticking out. There's this concept called the virtual boom. Tell us a little bit about what that is and how it works.
Yeah. So traditionally, I'm sure, as you know, gaming headsets have sort of a physical boom arm, which is typically one microphone that's placed in front of your mouth.
Yep.
And most brands sort of solve that in a different way. It's usually one microphone, and it works. But I think if you also ask sort of a gamer or really anybody sort of if you could, would you take it away? A lot of people would say yes. If you could offer me the same performance, we would. And we took that challenge in our design and engineering team. We have some really good partners working with microphones, with ANC and so on. So we decided, let's look into this. Let's develop a concept which we've chosen to coin the virtual boomer, because we mean that, or we think that the performance, should be on par with what you can expect from a boom arm. And instead of having this physical object in front of you that you have to adjust and sometimes detach or whatnot, we have a total of 6 microphones on the product. In reality, 8, because some of them are dual use. That is being utilized both for the ANC and for the speech. So it's what I'm using right now. So hopefully you can hear me well.
Yeah.
And it really just offers you a lot more flexibility in terms of when you bring the headphones with you. You don't have, something you need to detach or hide. And it's just really a concept that we at least believe, seeing at the focus groups and the target audience that we have, really resonated with their needs and the desire of having a headset that, fits in a lot of different environments and situations.
The other thing I want to point out, there's a couple connectors on here, and I'm going to kind of show them if I can. You can kind of see the USB-C there at the top, which is great to have USB-C. Now, right next to that is an audio adapter. So if you want to plug the headphones into your computer, if your mobile phone, if it still has an audio input, you can use that. So there's also that flexibility as well. So this thing has a ton. It's got, as you said, it's got Bluetooth, it's got Xbox wireless. This is like, with all due respect to the Danish, it's a Swiss Army knife of audio headphones.
I guess you could say so, yeah. But we're also, very focused on it delivering on some certain specifics. And I think specifically you mentioned sound, and it's great to hear with your background within sound that you appreciate them, and, both for gaming, but also for listening to music. And also in terms of, comfort and design. So although it has a wide range of usage areas and can cover a lot of bases, I think, there are some specifics that it really sticks out on. And that's great to see that at least the feedback so far in market has been focused on as well.
Well, Sondre, I want to thank you for your time today. And thank you. I know you were probably part of the team that was convincing the board of Bang & Olufsen that, hey, might want to get into gaming. So welcome to the gaming space. Welcome to Xbox. We're so excited to have you joining us on this journey here. The BeoPlay Portal is an amazing headset that's designed for life. I mean, whether you're gaming, whether you're out and about on your mobile, this thing is something that can go with you many, many places, and you will get your return on investment pretty quickly, because it will quickly become your only set of headphones you need in your life. So, Sondre, thanks so much for your time today, and I look forward to having you on again in the future if you want to come talk about more Bang & Olufsen products.
Absolutely. I think I said it on the unboxing video, and I'm going to say it again. Hopefully for us, at least, this is just the beginning. So we look forward to seeing everybody's reaction, getting all the feedback from the community. And I look forward to being on again.
Peggy 16.
This team's got some real muscle.
I grew up in the age of Jurassic Park, the old one. And when I got home, I was taking down raptors in games like Dino Crisis and Turok. So it's been a long time, I would say, a very long time, since I was scared of dinosaurs. But the team at Systemic Reaction is aiming to bring back that old Jurassic fear with Second Extinction. It's a 3-player co-op PvE shooter. It's out now via Game Pass, and it's in game preview on Windows 10 and on console. And here to tell us more about it is the Second Extinction game director, Simon Vickers, joining us from Sweden. Simon, thanks so much for taking time.
Hi, no worries. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you too. So tell me, how is it again that dinosaurs have come to rule the earth? Is there something to do with the mailman from Seinfeld stealing eggs again, or what's going on here?
That is a deep reference there. I like it. No, at the moment, we're not giving too much away. All we know is that dinosaurs have returned, taking people completely by surprise, as you would imagine. And humanity has had to flee to the stars, living aboard these orbital space stations. and they're recouping their losses, gathering their forces, and yeah, it's up to you and two of your friends to drop down to Earth and come about a second extinction.
All right. So Second Extinction was revealed to Xbox audiences last summer for Xbox and PC. But this game preview, this is not like the first alpha and, in rough shape or anything like that. You've been honing it through a number of early access play tests through last fall. I believe we're on the fourth iteration now. So how's it coming along? And for folks that jump in this week, what should they expect?
It's been going well, I feel. So, as you say, we are a little bit further along than what you expect, just an alpha to be. We kind of fairly quickly and early on found out what it took to make shooting dinosaurs in the face fun, and just kind of honing that through normal production. The kind of early access kind of period and preview period is very much kind of like just honing down more of the community-based stuff. So bringing in new content, delivering it to people, getting that in an interesting shape, and bringing together our kind of community metagame, which we call the war effort, and getting people involved as quickly as possible. So, yeah.
And I'm going to want to ask you a little bit more about that war effort in a minute, but let's back up. Let's say me and my two co-hosts, Larry and Rebecca, we drop in for the first time, as we are likely to do by the time this airs. What do we expect? What is the gameplay loop like, if you will, or what do you experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So we want you to get into the game as any action as quickly and smoothly as possible. So it'll be a case of you party up as you would do anywhere else, picking your loadout, picking your favorite character, picking your weapon and equipment, and things like that before you just get dropped straight down to the Earth's surface. When you're there, depending on which game mode you've chosen, whether it be our missions, which are kind of like our scripted big scale events that you kind of go through, or expedition mode, which is our much more kind of free form, choose your own objective kind of thing going on. You will just be faced with hordes of bloodthirsty dinosaurs, which you murder in elaborate, spectacular ways before extracting, where you get that final kind of big holdout moment where you're holding off waves of enemies. And then once you've done that, you kind of take the spoils of war, upgrade your weapons, and then go back for more on kind of increasing difficulties. Just keep doing it.
So what are my chances if I'm running solo, my friends aren't around? How's that going to work? Is it going to work?
Oh, you're going to have a tough time. We're very much a co-op-focused game, and kind of making sure that was our kind of core experience that we focused our efforts on. We're a small team, so we need to kind of pick our battles and have fun. So we just wanted to put everything we can into that experience. So yes, that means if you're going solo, you will have a hard time. Generally, that expedition mode that I talked about beforehand, where you can kind of choose the length of your playthroughs, you can choose the difficulty of your objectives and how many of them you will do in a single session. Will very much be there and available for people if you're kind of like waiting for your friends to kind of join you, or you just kind of feel like a small kind of session just to kind of get those last few materials to upgrade things. So there's still stuff you can do, but very much the core of the game and what we want you to be doing is playing with your friends and having a great time.
And that's a great reason. The barrier is lowered with the game being available on Xbox Game Pass for console and PC. Your friends have no excuse. So if they're not joining you, you should, it may be you, it's not the game. So let's talk. So I was reading about the game. Great interview on Polygon. Highly recommend you check it out. And you were talking about the class-based characters, and as someone who plays a lot of Apex, it felt like there was a similar feel to that, where special powers, supers, and passives, and what's a good mix of characters to have success in this game?
Oh, absolutely. So we have 3 different classes, which kind of matches the the free player count that we have in there. So generally, having one of each is kind of a good rule to have. There are shared aspects, so you're not necessarily kind of locked down into it. It's not too strict you need to have this character in there, you need to have this kind of even spread. It's very much kind of like just a suggestion, or to kind of like for players to find their favorite kind of play style, to find their favorite characters, and get attached to them. So we've got Rosie, who's our enforcer. She carries around a huge minigun. So she's great at kind of like holding back the hordes and kind of just crowd control in general. And then we've got Ortega or Jurgen, who live in our trooper class. They're very much a case of dealing huge damage to specific enemies, but in very different ways. So we've got Jurgen, who's our kind of sniper class lone wolf in some degree, and then Ortega, who's our weapon specialist. And then we have our operative class, who is all about kind of funky gadgetry. And I think you see it in the trailer there. He's got access to an orbital laser, which just kind of brings down devastation from above in a spectacular fashion. He's my absolute favorite, and like, you can tell from me smiling talking about it. So give him a go if you want to.
Yeah, I think nuking from orbit is always you're going to want that on your team. So you had mentioned the war effort, which is this meta game, this community driven meta game. Tell us how that works.
Absolutely. So every single kind of action the player takes, every single objective they succeed in or fail in, is recorded and tallied up by our kind of server stuff going on. And then twice a week, what will happen is our map, the big map that's shared across all missions and every single player, gets updated according to that tally. So say players do really well in one region or kind of like badly in another region, what you will find is that the dinosaurs have taken more of a foothold in the areas where you've kind of performed poorly as a community, and humanity will gain in the other one. And what happens then is new challenges and new objectives are kind of dealt out. So you'll find new obstacles every single time you kind of come back into it once that update has happened. The idea is it just kind of keeps things fresh. So even though we have those kind of scripted missions, you may find that your favorite insertion point for one mission is straight into the middle of an extremely high dinosaur threat area. So you may want to find a different route. So yes, it's a way of keeping things fresh.
All right. So the game is in game preview. Like I had said, the game has evolved significantly since its sort of first playable build. How do you see it continuing to evolve? Do you have sort of a roadmap for the next several months or however long it is until you go the 1.0 version?
Yeah, absolutely. So we already have a roadmap which is published on the Second Extinction website. It says kind of like the things that we want to be doing in the upcoming months. But it's very much a kind of fluid kind of system. So we are constantly listening to feedback on our Discord channels, on just kind of Twitter and all other social channels. And that can kind of change our priorities quite drastically. It's like we have an idea of where we want to go to, where we want to take this game. But we've already seen we're in update 4 of the main game at the moment. And that path to there has changed drastically month to month as we see people kind of responding to what they like in the game, what they don't like, and we have to kind of adapt. It keeps things interesting for us at least, but it's been a really valuable tool. And as you say beforehand, just having Game Pass and having so many players kind of taking part in that process, it's super exciting for me as a creative.
And it's exciting as a player. So make sure you play. It's available now, Second Extinction. You can just do a search, hit Y from your dashboard, or, of course, load up that Xbox Game Pass app on your Windows 10 PC. It's available now. And make sure you give feedback. So is Discord, Twitter, is everything just labeled sort of Second Extinction and people will find it?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. So if you go to the Second Extinction website, there'll be links in there to all our social channels.
All right, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Simon. I'm looking forward to playing. As we're recording this, I'm actually downloading it because this is when it first became available, and we'll be dropping in everyone. Actually, so we're going to go back to Rebecca and we're going to go back to Larry, and let's drop in and play around.
Fantastic. See you there.
Thank you to all of our guests today. Jeff did a great interview, great couple of interviews there. I did the center one. Rebecca, we're going to get you doing some interviews soon, so stay tuned. I know you and I have already talked off air about that, so nice work on that.
Be honest, did I fanboy out a little too hard with Hosokawa-san? Because afterwards I was like, I totally blew it with him. He thinks I'm not cool.
No, you were great. I mean, it's always subtle. Challenging when you've got the translator, because there's you miss some of the back and forth. But I mean, I'm
a lot less funny in Japanese is the way I'm going to just guess. She probably translated like He's just go
She
with
probably
it.
just skips
go
the
with it.
jokes.
Just smile.
Yeah.
I thought if she's smart, that's exactly what she did.
Yeah. He's
but anyway,
thinking,
no,
wow, this guy is really smiley.
He's very smiley. Jeff is smiley and nodding and whatnot.
I'll put my teeth
did,
away.
I will applaud you though. You did try your hand at I think you know slightly more Japanese than I do, so you tried your hand at it. So I applaud you with that.
I did throw out a arigato gozaimasu. I actually looked up because I don't want to, I don't want to cause an incident. I don't want to like be like closed-minded or just wrong. That guy. Yeah. Thank you. So I was looking up, do you say moshi moshi on a video call? Because that's how, when you pick up a phone in Japan, you say moshi moshi as opposed to like konnichiwa. And
Rebecca,
I went down like a Quora hole, and apparently you do not say moshi moshi on a video call. And so I didn't embarrass the show in that respect. But that's the level of detail I went into this weekend thinking about it. I didn't.
Well, I
also wanted to use moshi moshi authentically, and this was not my chance.
The show's honor, and the backstory on that, a little bit of that, Rebecca, is, and you and I talk during the week, but Jeff and I talk a lot, and sometimes I'll call him, or if he calls me, I'll just pick up the phone, and go mushi mushi, and he always laughs for some reason. He's amused by it, I think. So.
Well, that makes sense. It's like if you answer the phone, you say hello, but it's like a question, like because in Korean too, you say yoboseo, which is like hello, I don't know who this is, sort of. You say yoboseo. And so it's like, I think it's kind of the same thing. It's like a question mark. So when you answer a video call, you wouldn't be like, who is this? Right?
I suppose that makes sense.
Yeah.
Rebecca adding value right out of the gate. Look at her go. So thank you for that.
I learned something.
Anyway, we should probably do some headlines here. Jeff, you got some news?
Yeah. So I might sleep, but Game Pass never does. So more Game Pass news. Actually, some great available on day one into Game Pass news. Of course, we talked about Second Extinction. That's available now. Right. But as we move through the month of May, there's a couple more games coming out. So next week, I was talking about Dragon Quest. Here's another game. I guess if you mash up Dragon Quest and Minecraft, you get Dragon Quest Builders 2. So this game has never been available on Xbox. People are into it. Designs by the person who makes all the creator designs, Akira Toriyama, is pretty famous. And so I think there's a little more combat emphasis here, but there is building. And so anyway, it looks interesting. And it's day one. I'm going to be on Xbox Game Pass. That's May 4th. So worth checking out.
May the 4th be with you.
I don't think that's how it goes.
Gotta love Star Wars.
I think that's it. I don't. So, how is it May already? Anyway, later than that, a couple weeks later, Knockout Cities. This is like a dodgeball game, competitive, like arena shooter, but not shooter, thrower. And that is going to be, I've seen some creators playing it. It's looked pretty fun, as there's been a number of different betas that have happened. It comes out on May 21st directly into Xbox Game Pass. So this is going to be one definitely going to at least try it out. So you love to see games have their debut there. I think fans jump right in. They're instantly giving feedback to the devs. I think there was actually for Rain on My Parade, there was a great tweet that I saw from the devs, and they were like, we're so glad we're in Game Pass. Yeah. Like in just the first few days, X amount of people jumped into the game. It's exceeded our wildest, expectations. So thank you so much. It's sort of a great launching point. It makes it so people are talking about these games.
Yeah,
exactly.
It lowers the barrier to entry to zero almost.
Well, that's the other thing is we were talking about that with Second Extinction is, you don't want to go alone. And like in the old days, I mean, sometimes it still happens, but you'll be like, hey, I'm going to want to play this game. Will we all invest in the same game so that we can play? But now with Game Pass, it's just like, oh, there it is. So, download it. Just make sure you have it ready to go tonight. In fact, that's literally like the message I sent to my boys on Teams today.
These in Game Pass.
I know. And I was like, go ahead. Oh, Dishonored. I was just like, go ahead and download it now and we'll run it tonight. And there you go. Dragon Quest. If you've got 100 hours laying around, highly recommend it.
That's your FIFA. I mean, look at it. Look at this. Just it keeps going. Game Pass is just as really. It's the headline. Keep going, Jeff.
So that's so Knockout City, May 21st, Dragon Quest Builders 2, May 4th. And then we have games with gold. So now that we are into May, you can download a few games. There's Armello is available now. And then also available now is Lego Batman. That's a Xbox 360 game through the Magic of Backward Compatibility. You've got it. In the middle of the month, we'll have Dungeons 3 and Tropico 4. So it just keeps on going on with the Dungeons and the Tropicos.
Keeps on.
Yes. So those, and of course, games with gold, want to download them, they're yours to keep.
Yeah.
So sometimes I just go through and I'll just check them. And then if I have time later, I'll go back and I'll play them. Yeah, that's pretty much. There's a few DLC, some interesting stuff. Fallout 76 has a big update. You can check that out on Xbox Wire. There's a new plane in Flight Simulator. Oh. My favorite part of Flight Simulator is not flying the plane. My favorite part of Flight Simulator is sort of hanging out of the edge of the plane and looking at stuff on the ground.
I thought you were going to be one of these air traffic controller people. Have you heard about this group?
I've definitely seen it. Air Force Proud 95. He's
it's amazing. These people are just they're like that's their thing. I mean, there's something for everybody.
Well, if you like to look at landmarks, if you're one of those people like myself, I just want to find my house, stuff like that. There's an ultralight plane that is being added to the game, the Top Rudder Solo 103. It is essentially like you've been in go-karts that look bigger than this thing, but it flies. It's apparently under 254 pounds. Like that's a goal for me, even, really, with a flying speed of under 63 miles an hour. So, but because of that, there's like literally nothing under you. And so I think it makes it easier to look around and they're saying this is a cool plane to download to view things.
1,000 or 2,000 feet.
It's virtual. It's not real. I would never get on this thing in real life.
Like a glass bottom boat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Except that the water is much, much further down. So, and there's just a last thing, a Ghostbusters pack for Planet Coaster. And it just sort of reminds me of like if you could build something in like Universal Studios, like King Kong, like you get to use like the whole theme and it's Ghostbusters. So that just seems, I don't know, seems kind of a fun thing to do. So if you're into building theme parks, Planet Coaster, and if you like Ghostbusters, I realize that's like a 37-year-old thing, but at the same time, it's still popular. People still like it.
I don't know if you saw this because we put this out after the show last week, but over on my blog at majornelson.com, click on the top. We've got FPS Boost. We had a whole bunch of games featuring FPS Boost, which if you have a chance to check them out, and these are games that essentially Battlefield, some of the Star Wars, Titanfall. I mean, there's a whole bunch of games over there that will automatically get more frames per second. You don't have to do anything. And so go over there and check that blog post out. So we're going to be updating some of the games to give you more frames at no extra cost.
And we'll keep that list updated. Yeah. So it's sort of all in one place.
Yeah, and it tells you how to turn it on if it's off and check to see if it's on. It's pretty cool. If you have some of those games go up to 120 frames a second. That's bananas.
My TV is weeping over here at 60 frames per second.
It's okay. You'll get there.
Eventually.
But anyway, so check that out as well. It's kind of a cool feature that you get with, some of these things with these next gen consoles, we've got quick resume. Like Rebecca, tell me you can't go to play a game that's not quick resume anymore, right? I mean, it's just like boom, it's there. It's life changing.
Yep.
I remember over the summer, Jeff, you and I talked about this a lot last year before they released. When they lit that up and we were starting to test that, we're like, oh my god, this is amazing. So
there's no going back.
So fast.
Yeah, there's no going back. So you got 120 frames per second, you got quick resume, you got all the awesome stuff. So anyway, wanted to make sure we called that out. Anything else?
Concur.
You concur. By the way, Jeff, I want to call you out a little bit, as I'm known to do.
For a change. Go on. I'm listening.
I don't know if you saw our back and forth on Twitter, Rebecca, but Jeff has when we were sitting in the office together, Jeff and I would often go to lunch or we're traveling and whatnot. He has a bad habit of not updating his apps on his phone. And so can you show us how many do you have pending right now? Can you show me?
I actually did it last week because I knew you were going to do this. So what am I at now? 16.
I forgot after last week.
16? Okay.
There it is.
What about 16. You, Rebecca? Are you a regular updater on the apps or not?
No. Despite working for a tech company, I am not great at maintaining my tech. So
Thank you.
I am
Thank you.
I'm also I have a lot of things that need to be updated, but thank you for the reminder.
It's okay. No, I'm just saying, like when you
No, he wanted to gang up, is what this was.
Yeah,
he wanted
he
you
did.
to be like, that thing never gets above 1 because I'm hitting that button, and we've got other things to do.
Well, it takes you
Sorry,
5
Larry.
seconds.
Drop me a note next time.
Well, the reason I asked is because I saw you on talking about that Twitter earlier this week. And your, by the way, your low battery, which is also, we get called out for that quite a bit.
I texted, it was like 9:00 at night. My battery's dead by the end of the day. What do you want me to do?
But the reason,
why does that bother you? It bothered everybody, actually.
It's not just me. It was the entire internet that you triggered them. But no, I just want to make sure you keep updated, because we've got, like the Xbox app on your phone. We're going to keep updating it so we can add achievements and all the other, the stuff they're working on. That's what I did. See, I turned you into the bad guy.
You want to look? How does that feel? My Gmail splat.
Oh my
okay, that's
okay.
That's
I can't relate there. That makes me uncomfortable.
I stop it. Just stop it.
Why do you even have that?
I want to see how big it can get. I don't know.
Yeah,
if it's not important, I just ignore it and I go to the next thing.
Why do you even have that? That's just like maddening. Just
there are
shut
two
off.
kinds of people in this world, right? Yeah.
There's inbox 0 and there's inbox 16,466.
Oh, look.
I've gone this far. No going back.
There's literally no going back now. I don't know.
0 on mine.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but look at your work emails at 30, or 430. That's unacceptable. Anyway, we've gone into the let's check our inboxes part of the podcast, what everyone tunes in for.
This is the kind of content that will get us to the top of the search engine results in your podcast.
Yes.
So.
You'll just write, like, for the thumbnail, his inbox is what? And you go
I was
like that.
told by somebody that the reaction GIF is like so 2018. Or the reaction.
Yeah, but they're still doing them. They're still doing them.
I know. We'll get past that. Anyway, we've got a bunch of stuff going on here. We're going to wrap it up here. It feels like this is a quick show for us because we had so many great interviews. You want to add anything before we go away, Rebecca? Will you come back next week?
I'll think about it. I actually do have an update on the Minecraft movie.
Oh yeah, give it. Oh yeah, please.
Movie.
Please share.
Go.
Sounds like it's going to be a real blockbuster. Sorry, that's it. That's the update. I mean, Jeff has been asking me for dad jokes for the last year, so I was like, I had to drop it in. I'm sorry.
So we've worked with Rebecca for a long time, and she's a huge dad joke connoisseur. The more than any of the actual dads on the team. And so I've more than once gone to Rebecca to ask for a joke. I need a good dad joke, and then I promptly forget them.
You write on demand?
I did think of some in the car earlier, but none of them are like worth sharing. I'm still working on my material.
You're still working. That's okay. It's a creative process.
Blockbuster.
Check back later.
Take a Blockbuster.
Yeah. That was a good one. Speaking of Blockbuster, so we had to cancel a trip last year to Bend, Oregon, which is supposed to be pretty nice, but we're going back this year. And I ended up seeing a documentary on Netflix called The Last Blockbuster.
Oh, down
the
there.
last Blockbuster video is in Bend, Oregon.
Yeah.
So let me know if you want a t-shirt, because I'm going there.
Interesting.
Like 100%.
Wait, but it's still there and operating?
It's still there and operating. It is the last one. It's actually a kind of an interesting documentary about it. And they're going to just keep on going as long as they, keep getting licensed to continue. And I don't want to spoil it was a good movie or documentary.
I was actually watching, was it Netflix or maybe it was HBO? I think it was Netflix. I was watching the documentary about the Gardner Museum heist in Boston. Are you familiar with this?
No.
There's a very famous art museum in Boston. It's fine art. And back in the 90s, there was a heist, and these folks walked in and took a bunch of very expensive artwork, and they've never been found. But it's amazing. So go watch that one.
Was that Ben Affleck?
Okay.
Did he?
No,
was
that
he
was
the one that did that?
One? No, that
the
was
George Clooney one.
Yeah.
No. This is real. This is real, and I actually had some personal connections into it, and I was like, wow, I did not know that. So
you have personal connections?
I knew some of the.
Don't incriminate yourself on the podcast. This is admissible.
No, I just knew some
Let's
of the.
see the artwork in your home.
Some of the characters.
Yeah.
All I have in my home for artwork is actually, let me show this to you because I think you'll.
Is that Whistler's mother, the original one above your TV? He's got like Edward Munch's The Scream, like original printing.
The original one.
There we go.
What have
so
you
this
got?
is Rebecca. You'll appreciate this.
Go full screen, Larry.
It's a piece of this. It's a piece.
Wow, that is a piece of art.
The Carrier Dome.
Oh my gosh, that's actually a piece of the dome.
So they had
right?
this, yeah, they had this. They had this when they replaced the dome at Syracuse. Rebecca and I went to Syracuse University, decades apart. But they when they took the dome down, they sold pieces of it. So my wife bought me one, so.
I didn't know they did that. That's so cool.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. I think they may have a few left, but it's pretty amazing. That's the only artwork I have in this room.
I don't know if that counts as art per se, but I applaud. It's framed. It's framed, so I'll give you that.
Blasphemy, Jeffrey! Blasphemy.
Art / decorations.
I don't know about art. Sure, we'll go with that.
Can we call it a memento then?
I mean, like I have a framed soccer jersey behind me, and I don't call it art. I think it's great.
Oh, there
See it up there? It's Stephen Fry from the Seattle Sounders. He's a big Xbox fan and a great guy. Good keeper too.
You have his gloves,
but it's not art. Yeah, he sent over a pair of gloves. That was awesome.
Wow.
We played Apex, and I anyway. But again, is it art? Maybe that's not for me to decide. I can only decide with the things you have in your house if those things are art.
In the eye of the beholder.
Okay. Well, that's.
By the way, we're
end
almost
on
done
that.
with the show here, and I did get a few emails to the inbox, major@xbox.com. There's been a specific request for more Pumbaa.
That's so sweet. He's actually not here today.
Oh.
Yeah, he's out at the vet. Pumbaa is a boy dog, and he is having a routine procedure. Fill in the blank. So he's going to be in kind of rough shape the next few days, but next week I got you. He'll be back, maybe a little bit less chipper.
My thoughts and prayers are with you, little one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I actually met Pumbaa this last week, and Pumbaa liked me.
Oh, good.
I think
he did. He doesn't
He did
usually
not
like
like
strangers.
Good.
Right. He was good. But then when I went to go get my coffee, he was a little concerned, right?
he would not eat. He would not sleep. And it was only like 2 minutes, but he was. He was sort of beside himself.
He was aware of the upcoming procedure, so
I didn't tell him anything. I didn't know.
Poor buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Prayers for Pumbaa, please.
All right. Well, next week we'll bring Pumbaa
Prayers
back.
for Pumbaa.
Thank you for all your kind words. If you want to find us, anywhere specifically on social, this is how you find us. There we go. Or you can. Oh wow! Oh, I switched the boxes.
I'm taking over your Twitter account. What am I going to put up there?
I'm going to give it to you. Like, who was it? Was it Denmark? I was reading an article somewhere that apparently, like, up until 2018, it was a Scandinavian country would give its the official Twitter account to a resident every week. Just a random resident. I don't know how you signed up, and I don't know what it was all about.
Maybe you could do that in Denmark.
That's
It doesn't work so well here.
Yeah.
Wow, the Danish are pretty loose with their social media. Okay.
I don't know if it was the Denmark. I got to find out what it was. It was definitely a Scandinavian country, but I thought that's a pretty interesting idea. But anyway, we'll let you guys go. Rebecca, thank you for joining us again this week. More Pumbaa will be back next week, better than ever, or something like that.
A little lighter.
He'll be back.
He'll be back. Jeff, any final words before we go?
What's to add on top of that?
Yeah.
There's nothing to add.
Rebecca, any final words?
No. Thanks,
All right.
guys.
All right,
Good
guys.
chat.
We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for downloading the show. Make sure you file the feedback, send a thumbs up and subscribe and the bell and write a comment, all that other fun stuff. So we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye, everybody.